What is up, my fellow sports fans? I meant to do this last night, but doing it today, Christmas Eve, right before the games. We got a good slate of games, actually. Let's get right into it. It's a weird. I always look at like a list that shows the games, and usually goes from 10 a.m. on. But that is 10 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I was like, boom, starts with a good one. Seahawks Chiefs. It's gonna be fun. Over under is 49. Definitely going the over. The only way that doesn't happen is if the Chiefs get ahead and run the ball. But even like when a team like the Chiefs runs the ball and tries to slow down the clock, they have explosive running backs and they're not going to slow the clock down. So it's going to be a high scoring game. There's no way around that. The Chiefs put up 44 against the Niners. So as I always like to say, the Chiefs are capable of touching the spread on their own, and the Seahawks, have an explosive offense in their own right. I know Lockett's out. The run game's been a little haphazard recently, but it's not like the line's hurt. Kenneth Walker's been dinged up. He'll be back up and running. And Marquise Goodwin is solid. Plus, Geno is one of those quarterbacks who can make things happen. So this game's definitely gonna be a shootout. The spread is -10. That's one I wouldn't want to touch, but if I had to, I actually would say Kansas City does meet that. It's like Geno doesn't make dumb decisions, but if they fall behind, they abandon the run game. It's a lot easier to defend when you know the other team's going to pass. So I wouldn't bet on that personally, but if I had to, I would take the over. And if I had to bet on the under, I would say the Chiefs cover. My G-Man versus the Vikings is going to be a good one. Easy bet for me. Definitely the under. Cook could be getting some rest because the Vikings really aren't going to take the number one seed, and they're already cemented in the playoffs. And my G-Men are going to be coming at it. Adoree Jackson is out, which is unfortunate because Justin Jefferson is going to roast us, especially because he's going for the record. So they may be easing off Cook, but they're probably going to fire it all over to Justin Jefferson. But we do have X-Man Xavier McKinney back there. So if they go to Jefferson too much, we're going to clock him, maybe give him a concussion, maybe get an interception and force him not to do that as much. But overall, we are shorthanded without Adoree. I mean, KJ Osborne popped off for 157 last week. So the Giants have their hands, their work cut out for them. But that defensive line is ferocious. Kayvon's been looking better. It's not like, and like we've got that fire. We're playing for a playoff spot. That does matter. So I really do think the Giants have a good chance at this one. The Commanders, that name, were the fourth best in yards per game allowed this year, and the Giants have a quote-unquote bad offense, yet we still put up 20-12. So if we can put up 20 against them, we can put up enough to beat the Vikings. And again, we're going to pull out all the stops to win this one. So I'm not sure the Giants win, but the spread is Minnesota -4.5. So and if you bet on the Giants to win straight up, you could get some good odds on that. So I definitely think the Giants will at least cover, and let's go with the under on this one. Bengals Patriots, another easy one for me. Cincy -3. Like, Patriots have like the ugliest offense in the NFL, or like for like a decent team that's 7-7, it's so bad. They're not Rams or Broncos status, but it's really bad. So I'm definitely going to take the Bengals. -3 is easy, and then the under as well. 41.5 isn't that low. But the Patriots defense has been good, and Belichick, when he knows you're trying to run or pass, he's better at stopping that. So the Bengals are 6th in passing this year and 26th in rushing. So they're just going to make sure that Burrow doesn't decimate them. They have a great secondary. I don't think this is going to be a shootout, especially because it's in New England. It's going to be cold, but the Bengals are still going to take it. Bills Bears, 11-3, 3-11. Enough said. Spread's only -8.5. That's an insult to my guy Josh Allen. Hammer that. They're absolutely going to tackle that. The spread is 39.5. It is a cold game. If the Bills get out early, it's possible they don't reach that, but I am going to take the over. Fields is explosive enough to make a few things happen. And again, if the Bills go up 20-0 in the first quarter, that's still 20 points. That just means the teams need to score 10 each the rest of the game. So I do think they're going to do the over. And I mean, the Bears average 187 rush yards per game, and Ed Oliver and Jordan Phillips are dinged up. So not only does that make room for Montgomery, but Fields is as athletic as anyone out there. So I know Tremaine Edmonds is actually the perfect kind of guy to stop him. 6'5", 250 and rangy. But And Matt Milano's he's not an athlete like that, but he's very smart. So he'll put himself in the right place. It's not a good matchup for Fields by any means against a good defense, but I do think that spread is an insult to the Bills. Like Chiefs Seahawks is -10. How is this only -8.5? So I'm going to take the over and Bills to cover. Falcons Ravens, another tough matchup for my guy Desmond Ridder. I'm a huge fan. I think he's going to be a great fantasy quarterback, especially, and has a chance to be a good real quarterback as well. There's a reason he's the winningest quarterback in college football history. But those legs are not going to be shown off against Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. It's a rough matchup. They don't have much of a pass offense. You can't just run the ball over and over again at those dudes, and it's in Raventown. This is not good. The spread is Baltimore -6.5. Definitely taking that. And the over-under is 35. That's a tough one without Lamar. It's one I would not bet on, but that is really low. Like they have CPAT. They could get a punt return touchdown. Duvernay could get one for that matter as well. So I would take the over if I had to bet, but I wouldn't want to bet on that. But 20-17 isn't inconceivable. But then again, neither is 17-14. So also forgot to mention Patrick Mahomes has won 15 in a row against the NFC. He's about to set the record with his 16th straight win against the NFC when he beats the Seahawks. Saints Browns, speaking of bad weather, it's projected to be like a snowstorm. Lowest, also 35 was the over-under for the Ravens. Shows how low that is. 32 is the lowest over-under since 2008, which, big surprise, was also a Browns game. Browns-Bengals went back when they were the Bagels before they were good. And the score of that game was 14-0. So if we're putting the spread all the way down to 32, that shows that it's down there for a reason. The Saints offense is anemic. Browns haven't looked that good with Deshaun Watson, and both have pretty good defenses too. I know Clowney's out, but Myles Garrett, according to PFF, has been like a top 3 player in the NFL, not just defensive player. The Saints always have a bunch of good players. They got Honey Badger again. They already had a good defense before that. I say again, like playing for LSU brings him back. But yeah, it's supposed to snow a lot, which means my guy Taysom might be handling the rock a little more. I've got him revved up in my toilet bowl game no one cares about for third place bronze trophy. So lining him up at that WRT with that scammy tight end eligibility. But I mean, he threw a 68-yard touchdown pass last week. And again, Andy Dalton is like, you need to be athletic to play in the snow. I was a big LaShawn McCoy hater. And I remember the first time I really was like, oh, this guy's super nice. I think it was a game against Buffalo. Like probably 2011 or something like that. It was just covered in snow. Nothing was happening. And then the fourth quarter, he churned out like 100 yards on the ground all by himself. Just little shakes. He's moving so quickly in the snow. You have to be really strong to push off in the snow or like on the beach. And so it takes a real athlete. So Taysom is a much better play than Andy Dalton, not just as a gadget player, but they might give him just straight up quarterback reps. So should be fun for my guy Taysom. He's also had 6 carries or more in 3 straight games. So even bump that up to 8 carries. 8 carries is like a startable flex, especially when he gets end zone touches. Oh, also Olave and Jarvis Landry are out. So they're going to have to pass to him, run with him, let him throw, whatever it takes. Fire up Juwan Johnson as well. Texans Titans. This is a fun one. Texans are 1-12-1, but they've already played against Malik Willis. They held him to 55 yards before, and Derrick Henry ran for 219. So you can say, oh, they're prepared. They know how to handle it. They did it last time, but there's a reason he always runs for 200 yards against the Texans. They are a bad defense. That being said, when they played last time, they were allowing 178 rush yards per game. And the last 4, they're allowing 139 per game. So while that's still not good, it's not god awful. So if Henry goes for more like 160, that's probably not enough to will the team to victory versus the Texans' weird 2 QB carousel. Speaking of tight end scams, the guy Jeff Driscoll could be winning some fantasy matchups this week. The Titans defense is not that terrifying. Driscoll could totally poach a rushing touchdown or something like that. I did not talk about what I would do with the spread for the last one. Spread is Cleveland -3. I would have to take that 32 is over. I would go over because Taysom. Duh. So spread is Tennessee -3. I got to take that. And the over is 35.5. I don't know what to say there. That's one I would not bet on. But based on how limited usage Malik has been given and how shaky he's looked, I would have to take the under on that one. I think 17-14, as I like to say, is a reasonable score. And that would definitely hit the under. and this is not going to be a fun one to watch. So please, Red Zone, don't put too much of that. No offense, Malik. Malik should be fun. Lions, Panthers, this is a good one. They both have a chance at actually making the playoffs, which is inconceivable for these teams. Panthers are one game behind the Bucs. Unfortunately, the Bucs are playing the Cardinals with a third-string quarterback. So it's not looking good for them. But the Lions have been feisty recently. Goff hasn't thrown a pick in 6 consecutive games, trying to push it to 7. Even more impressive, 4 straight with 35-plus attempts and no picks. Fifth, if he does it again today, it'd be the 3rd longest streak behind Brady's 7, actually this year, and Breeze's 6 across 2015 to 2016. So anytime you mention along those two dudes, that's impressive. These guys have been gritty. Swift's been looking good. Jamal Williams the steam has come down a little bit, but he's still that battering ram in short yardage situations. Justin Jackson's solid. Amon-Ra's been incredible. So I definitely think the Lions are going to take this one. The spread is minus 2.5. Got to take the Lions there. And the over is 44. I don't know what to say because Sam Darnold is playing, but God. Over? No. I would not take the over. I would take the under. These are two gritty teams. They're going to run the ball. The clock's going to go down. My guy, D'Onta Foreman's playing. He's going to keep the chains going. And then both these defenses are solid, too. I like to mention him every time so he gets more notoriety. Brian Burns is a homie. He's going to make life difficult for Jared Goff. It's possible he throws one of those picks. It's not his fault, where he's throwing the ball, his arm gets hit, pops up in the air as it comes out. I hate that those count as picks. Josh Allen has a couple of those this year. He threw a dime right to Isaiah McKenzie. He was like, pops out. Those are picks too. So it's quite possible Goff throws one of those kind of picks this game. Jeremy Chin, they built up their defense. Matt Rule, poor guy, got fired. I guess maybe he sucks because they're better without him. But he did, him and the GM put together 7 straight picks on defense, and that defense is not as bad as people think. So I'm going to go with the under on this one. Commanders, Niners, Barf Bowl. Found some fun stats on Heineke. 10.6 QBR, 3.9 yards per dropback on 3rd down this year. Both worse in the NFL. 51 completion percentage on 3rd down is 31st out of 33 QBs. I like the guy. He's gritty. He's fun. He celebrates after penalties. But it's quite possible we see Carson Wentz in this one. He's not going to be able to hang against this defense unless my guy Tony Gibson and Brian Robinson are really going against that number 1 Niners defense, which I doubt because they're going to be stacked boxes. They're going to be in for it, and they're going to need someone who can air the ball out to Scary Terry, and that's Carson Wentz. It's not Taylor Heineke. He's more of a hit him on a slants kind of guy. So the over-under is 37.5. Those are both terrific defenses. I said the Commanders are 4 and Niners are 1 in yards per attempt, yards per game. So why am I thinking? That's an obvious under with backup quarterbacks. But the Niners are just, both weapons are so explosive. It's totally possible it goes either way. Again, this is one I wouldn't bet on, but if I had to, I would bet on the spread is Niners -7. I think the Niners are going to take that. But the 37.5, I wouldn't touch that. But if I had to, I would go with the under. Eagles, Cowboys, probably the best game of the week. Spread is Dallas -5. They are dogging Gardner Minshew. I know the Cowboys have scored 35.5 with Dak, but listen to this stat. Eagles have recorded 6 or more sacks in 3 straight games, which is the 2nd longest streak since the NFL tracked sacks in 63. We all know the Cowboys line has been banged up in the past few years. It's quite possible that streak continues. They bring it. Hassan Riddick got that fire. They've got Sue, Linval, Joseph, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. They're coming at you from everywhere. So it's and they've got the cover men. They've got Darius Slay and James Bradbury getting coverage sacks as well. So it's everyone's like, oh, Cowboys easy. No, the Eagles. It's possible the Cowboys missed the playoffs. Eagles are going to do whatever they can to make that happen. I don't even know if that is possible. I'm just out here talking, but they can make them have a worse seed and make them feel bad about themselves. So the over under is 46.5, which seems pretty up there. But again, the Cowboys have been averaging 35.5. This is one I wouldn't bet on as well because of the backup situation. But Gardner, he's got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Just hit him on slants. He's a capable quarterback. He's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. If I had to bet on, I would take the over, and the spread mashing. Eagles covering Dallas -5. They can lose by 4. The team is 13-1 and lost on a fluke. They could easily also they win out. They can tell themselves we would have been undefeated if not for the refs. So they still have that fire to finish 16-1. And I do think they're going to take the Cowboys this week. Also, Miles Sanders had 1.9 fantasy points last week after killing it the weeks before. There are people out there who care about fantasy. He's going to be like, I'm going to do it for my fantasy championship. He's going to show up. Raiders Steelers, old school football, 6-8 versus 6-8, two storied franchises, and it's like 10 degrees out. Franco Harris did die this past week. Rest in peace. So the Steelers are definitely going to show up. I don't know what showing up means, though, for them anymore. So I do think the Raiders are going to come out and win. Devontae Adams did not show up last week. Last time he was held under 40 yards, he popped off for 147 and 2 touchdowns. So I know they have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who can kind of shadow him a little bit, but they don't have like a true lockdown number one corner to hang with Devontae. And then also they have to worry about Josh Jacobs, who's leading the league in rushing. So I do think, the spread is Pitt minus 2.5. I think the Raiders are going to win outright. The over-under is 38.5. You do have to take the under, especially factoring in the weather. So this could be a rough game. And they're both like completely out of the playoffs, like 5% chance. It's not going to happen. But they're storied franchises. They're going to fight. It's going to be a better game than you think. And then Packers-Dolphins, speaking of people fighting, Dolphins could miss the playoffs. Everyone goes from Tua sucks to Tua is everything to now they're 8-6. If they end at 8-9, like, oh my God, miss the playoffs, it'd be so bad. And then Rodgers fighting for his glory. It's totally possible that the Packers pull this off. Spread is Miami minus 3.5. I do think Miami is going to win by more than that, though. The spread is 50. That's a tough one. I for sure would not bet on that. I would have to take the under, though. Packers are, in my opinion, more of a 21-24 type team. I know the Dolphins can put up points in bunches, but like Jeff Wilson's been hurt. I know Mostert's that guy. So you don't necessarily need Jeff Wilson, but after he's an injury-prone dude, he had a lot of touches last week. It's tough for me to take the over, even though what I'm saying right now says Miami can put up those points in bunches. The Green Bay offense takes their time. They're not as explosive except for Christian Watson, so they keep the ball out of Tua's hands. If you don't get that rhythm going, it's harder to get going. So I would avoid that. I think it's probably the under, though, but definitely mash Miami minus 3.5. I know the Packers could win, but chances are Miami does. It's at home. They're really fighting for a playoff spot. I think they've got it. Broncos-Rams, avoid. Just don't watch any of it. Whether you're Broncos or Rams fans, you're disappointed. Russell Wilson's 8-13 versus the Rams in his career, and that was on a good Seahawks team. Then again, that was versus a capable Rams offense. So this is an awful Rams offense. Just got to listen to the spread. Spread's Denver minus 2.5. That means Denver is apparently not as bad, as the Rams. I thought Denver was like the worst team in the league, but I guess it's the Rams now. So that must mean Cooper Kupp isn't playing still. So the Rams are atrocious. Cam Akers and Kyron Williams did actually look decent, but the Broncos defense is stifling. So just got to say that Broncos defense is amazing. So I guess we'll go with the Broncos. And Russell Wilson's also not awful. Even though he's played awful, he can do things and will be, spicy going back to LA where there'll be those boos. He'll want to show them up. So I guess the Broncos. And the spread is 36.5. Avoid that if you can, but also go with the under. I'm just like scared of spreads apparently. Buccaneers, Cardinals. So let's start with the spread. Let's go right for it. The spread is 40. I'm going to go over. Because it's the Cardinals. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. Tom Brady's been struggling. They need to make the playoffs. He's going to hammer them. Trace McSorley will have a couple cool pop plays where he's able to generate some free points for the Cardinals. He'll also probably throw a couple picks or have some bad fumbles. So he'll put the Buccaneers in a chance to score. So people like Trace McSorley are good for fantasy for everyone. Good for fantasy for the Bucs. Good for him with his legs. It's going to be fun. Trace McSorley is going to be a fun guy to watch. Unless you're a Cardinals fan because they're going to lose. The spread is Tampa Bay 7.5. Definitely taking that. Tampa Bay could easily win by double digits. Mike Evans was balling last week. Needs 112 yards for his 9th consecutive 1,000-yard season, which would tie Tim Brown for the second longest streak all time. Wait, what? Oh, he's done this to start his career. So he's the only person with 7 or more to start his career. And 9 consecutive in general would be tied for second longest to Tim Brown. And then Jerry Rice had 11. So I think he's going to get that 1,000 today. He looked really, really good last week, and he doesn't want some freak injury to happen. He's going to hammer it down this week. And then Monday night, Those are all Christmas games. I just realized. Monday night, Chargers, Colts. Colts are one of those teams, that could be better than you think. Nick Foles is, like Gardner Minshew, a terrific backup. Funny that both those dudes from Philly, or with the Philly ties, are both playing today. Spreads only Chargers minus 4.5. I know Derwin James hasn't played, but they've only allowed 15.5 points per game over the last 2 games, and they're playing a team with the backup quarterback without Jonathan Taylor. Got to go with the under. Got to go under 45.5. Definitely take the Chargers to win and try not to watch this game. It's going to be bad. I know, again, Nick Foles could put up a fight, but it's an 8-6 team versus a 4-9 team with a backup quarterback and a backup running back. You don't really need to look under the hood too much to know what's going to happen there. Most likely, the Chargers are going to come out on top. They don't want to have those December collapses they always have. Eckler needs just 5 catches to get to 100 catches for the season. He'll be the 5th running back ever to do that. Look for him to do that on Monday night. Thanks for listening, guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Sunday. It's Saturday. Enjoy some footballs.